Okay, Ruvain. You set?
How are you? How are you, Irvine?
Okay, you doing better?
Thank God. Every day is a little better.
Very good. Very good.
You should have a report.
Right. I think your buddy Michael already took off for points north there.
Yes, he did.
Okay, learning sponsors again, Sue and Arnie Garlic in memory of Malcolm Perlman and Philip Mann. And Yisrael David ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Beryl ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch. Yosef Meir ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Henry Rivka Perozna bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch. And a memory of family murdered in the Holocaust. Okay. Harav Tzvi Hirsch ben Shlomo Yaakov, Sarah bat Ephraim, Yisrael David ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Ephraim ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Adia bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Miriam bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Pesel bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Shalom ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Shlomo Yaakov ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Shmuel ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Leslie and Gail Kaplan, in memory of their parents, Harry and Marjorie Sedell, Irving and Pearl Kaplan, children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren of Toby Paris, Saratova bat Yisrael Dov in her memory, Charlie Gelfenstein and Sam Levine in memory of Ramona Levine, Rachel Mata bat Asher, friends of Nina Moynester, Nechama Azna bat Yitzchak Aharon, many friends of Stephen Vigdal, Zecher Nishmat Simcha Melech ben Meir Halevi, friends of Marcy Kurtz in memory of her great niece, Leah Bracha. Month of Learning by Lydia and Abe Krause's many friends in honor of their 50th anniversary. Week of Learning by David and Sharon Karpel, Rabbi Tzvi and Robin Karpel, in memory of David and Tzvi's mother, Malka Bas Mordechai. Dr. Mark Scher, in memory of his father, Mordechai ben Menachem Manish. Ruth Kosman, in memory of her husband, Shmuel ben Yitzchak. Carol and David Kaplan, in memory of Hannah and Ron Goldberg's daughter, Tamar Yenta bat Yerachmiel Yitzchak. Today being the 14th, right?
13th of
14th. Today's the 14th of the month. We have a day of learning by Morty and Millie Rosner, in memory of his father, Kalman ben Nosson Zanville. And okay, and that is it. May the Shamas have an aliyah, crank Rafia, Velti Shir Shamatliya, and L'chol B'nai Yisrael a good Gabenshtia. Amen. Okay, so today's Gemara Lamed Chet, right? Does that sound good?
That's it.
I'm going to just remind everybody that we're getting close. If you're using Art Scroll, we're very close to the end of the first volume.
Yeah,
right?
Pray for you, brother.
All right. So keep that in mind. I didn't check to see how far. This goes up to what, Mem Aleph or just Mem? Mem Aleph? Right, is that it? Okay, so as of Sunday, right? Even Shabbos, you may need the second volume. Okay, I haven't looked at it. David is going to do the daf on the two Shabbos still, and I will do the daf on the two Sundays. Okay. Okay. All right. We need the second volume from Memo. Yeah. Okay. So, Lamed Chet Amud Aleph. Okay. On the top, we stopped with the Darki Chad Gabachu. Okay. In other words, he could argue again to that one person that he was, right, the one who had traveled, and he comes back. And the question is, are there four owners? Is there one owner? Okay, could he bring an argument? Okay, he could still argue to him, one path with you. I still have your path. In other words, I still should be able to arrange something with you. Because remember, the person had said, if you're quiet and don't make a whole based-in thing out of it, maybe I'll sell it to you for a, reasonable thing. But if not, he argued, I can return it back to the 4 owners that I bought it from. And then how can you bring them to Beis Din to figure out where your path is? Okay, that was what the Gemara had referred to. So on the top of Lamed Chet, okay, we're still saying that example here. Aval Hacha, he says, regarding the inheritance, mi ika lemei hachi. Is there any chance that he can say anything like that? Okay? So that's basically where we stop. Okay? So, Rabbi Yirmiyah Amarla. Rabbi Yirmiyah now in this example would come back and tell us, Ana da Amre afilu Rabbanan. Rabbi Yirmiyah says, I could even present my view according to the view of the rabbis, right? Ad kan lo ka Amre Rabbanan hatam. Up to this point, the rabbis didn't say, in terms of the situation, the example of the path, right? Ela mishum da amarle, ishatakt, shatakt. As he said, because the owner could say, if you're quiet, okay, we'll do it, so to speak, quietly. Okay, I'll sell you land for a pathway, all right? Ve'ilo, and if not, mahadarna shtara lamar'aihu. Okay, I will return the documents, in other words, the bills of sale, to the multiple owners that I bought it from, assuming we saw that it was 4 people, right? Okay, velo matzit la'ashtuye dina bahadahi, and it won't be possible for you to, let's say, arrange any kind of case in the Beis Din in that situation, to bring a case against them. Aval hacha, but here, okay, in this case of the inheritance, mi'ika lamemar hachi, is it possible at all to even say something like that? Okay, so the Gemara is now going to give us a whole series of situations where we have multiple, we have 2, at least 2 individuals or groups involved in a legal case, right? One is always going to be the individual of questionable descent. Remember, we said that was the individual who was, it was not clear for sure whether they were the progeny of the original husband or the progeny of the Yabam. Okay? So we're going to have, that's going to be one of the litigants, let's say. The other litigant is going to be a number of different possibilities. So that's why the Gemara is going to present us now with a number of these cases. Okay, first example. All right, Safek v'yabam shabau lachlok b'nichsei saba. Okay, the individual of questionable descent and the yabam. Okay, so in other words, okay, so it's his, so to speak, his challenging his theoretical uncle, we might say, or it could be his theoretical father. Okay, right. And they've both come to separate the property that had been of the grandfather. Okay, so it is either his deceased father's father or his supposedly uncle's supposedly potential father's father. Okay, everybody? All right. Safek Amar, the one of questionable descent, might say, Hi Gavra Bar Mitnahu. Okay. Okay, this basically, in other words, still claiming I could be the son of the deceased. Okay. And therefore, Upalga Didi Hu Yabamamar. Oh, Palga Didi, rather. Okay, Upalga Didi Hu. Okay, and half of that inheritance should be mine. Okay, Yavamamar. Okay, I didn't use a dark enough pencil here in my notes. Okay, and the Yavam, okay, could say, At Bara'i Didiyat. No, you're really my progeny. you're not his progeny, and therefore lit lach velo mide. No, you don't get anything.
Anything.
Right? Okay, because as the Yavam, he should get all the inheritance of the deceased, okay? And that's where he gets his portion plus the portion of the Yavam, okay, from the deceased grandfather, right? Okay, ve'ein safek motzimi de vadai. And we have a point, right? So what happens? I'm sorry, did I skip? Yeah, sorry. All right, Have Yavam Vadai. So here the Gemara says, clearly the Yavam has a valid claim, the Safek. But the one of questionable descent, he has a questionable claim in the court. Ve'ein Safek Motzimi De Vadai. And the questionable challenge cannot remove a ascertained claim. Okay, so the Gemara now goes on and tells us, fine, let's go to a second case. No, his vadai is that he's indeed he is definitely the son of the deceased grandfather. Okay, but the progeny, we don't know if he's his, or we don't know if he's his brother's. Okay, so that's why he's safek. So his claim is basically questionable. Okay, because in any case, all right, he would only get half. Right, the actual son of the actual son of the grandfather would certainly get at least half. Right, so it's half a claim. Right, that's the best he can, that the safek can claim. Okay. No, the safek is not vadai whatsoever. Even his claim of half is a safek.
The living son,
the Yabam
is vadai only on him.
No, the Yabam, his claim might be he gets all. Okay, but certainly gets
half.
Certainly gets half.
You look at the parts of the estate, but the Vada is talking about he's definitely a son of the grandfather, of this guy's grandfather, which is his father. Right. He's definitely a son. The other one,
how much is he a son?
No. He's a son. He's definitely in. The other guy, we don't know if he's in at all.
I know that, but it's
right.
Yeah, he was just
okay. Second case. Safek Ubenei Yavam. Okay, so now we have, okay, the one of questionable descent, and the sons, okay, who are the Yavam, who perhaps were born maybe before the Safek. Okay, but clearly they are the children of the Yavam. So they are and who are they inheriting from? Shaba'u lechlok b'nichsei Saba. So they come to inherit, again, property of the grandfather, right? So in this case, they again have a clear line of descent. The Safek does not have a clear line of descent because we don't know if he is really the brother or half brother, let's say even, of those B'nai Yabam, okay, or not, okay? So that's what the Gemara is going to tell us, okay? Safek Amar, again, the one who did questionable descent, Hahu Gavra, Bar Mitnahu. He says, this person, namely myself, I'm the son of the deceased. Upalga Didi, who, and half the inheritance should be mine, right? Uvnei Yavam Amrei, and the sons of the Yabam say, Achonaat, you're our brother, okay? Umanta idlach, and a portion is due to you. We don't know how much, whether that would be a half, bahadan, okay, from among ours. Okay, from among ours, right? So you get a portion, okay, if you're the brother. If you're not the brother, you get zilch. Okay? All right. So here the Gemara tells us, Paga de Kamode Laho Shakle, the half that's acknowledged for them. I'm sorry, no, for him. No, for them, I'm sorry. For them, Shakle, let them take it. Tilta de Kamodule, what we're going to call it, the third, sixth. Okay, the third actually. Okay.
The third
is acknowledged for him, Shakil. Let him take that. Okay. The reason we say a third is because it said B'nai Yavam. Okay?
There's two brothers.
Right. Okay. So what happens? The Gemara goes on then and says, Pashlaho dinaka. Okay. What remains then, it says for them, dinaka have mamon hamutal b'safek v'cholkin. What remains then is like a sixth. All right. All right. And that money is in doubt. And therefore, according to the Chazal, you split money that's in doubt. Okay. They should split it. Now, a new case. Another example. Saba v'yavam b'nichsei safek. Let's say we have the grandfather and the Abam, okay, to inherit the property of the individual who was of questionable descent. Okay, we're used to always inheritance going down. In this case, we can see that it's possible that inheritance goes up as well to an earlier generation. Okay, and notice it's all through the male, by the way. Okay, b'nichsei safek. Oh, or perhaps we could have a situation where Saba v'safek b'nichsei yabam, where the grandfather and the one of questionable descent are supposed to be the heirs of the deceased yavam. Okay, in those cases, have mamon hamutal b'safek v'cholkin. In that situation, you have money that's in doubt, and therefore Chazal says, right? We divide it. Okay. So Gemara, so that ends that Gemara. New Mishnah. Okay. New Mishnah is going to give us a different kind of situation, right? And actually, I believe that this came up in our discussion. Okay. Let's say that the Zekuka, the Yavama, is waiting for her Yavam to act. He has done neither Chalitza nor Yibum yet, and maybe he hasn't even done a Ma'amar with her yet. Okay? Because clearly by doing a Ma'amar, he's showing intent of Yibum, even if he hasn't committed the act. Okay? So let's keep that in mind because we may have to get to that situation. Okay? But right now our Mishnah starts off. Shomeret Yabam Shenaflu La Nechasim. Okay? The woman, the widow, okay, inherits a certain amount of property. Right? Modim Beit Shammai u Beit Hillel. Both Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel agree shemocheret, that if she sells that property or part of the property, the no tenant, or she gives away as a gift part of that property, vikayam. In those situations, it is valid. Okay, it is maintained. Right? Meta. Okay, if she died, the widow, okay, and there has not been any clear determination of what happens to the property, ma ya'aseh b'ketubata u'b'nechasim hanichnasim v'yotzim ima. What happens, asks the Mishnah, to her, the money of her ketubah, okay, or to any other properties that would go in and out with her? In other words, remember that a husband would be able to have, if I remember the term, nichsei melog, okay?
Nichsei melog, right.
Right? So
Yes.
therefore, he would have what's called in fancy English, I think it's the usufruct, okay, of that the item. He doesn't own the property, but he certainly has use of it. Okay, so that's what happens, right? Beit Shammai Omrim, in that case, Chaluku, okay, Yoshei Habal, Im Yoshei Ha'av, that it should be divided up between the heirs of the husband and the heirs of the father. Ubeit Hillel Omrim, what do they say? Nechasin b'chezkatan, that the property remains by chazaka in the status of what it was before. Okay, right? In other words, we're going to have to see who has it, right? So the Gemara comes back. Mishnah continues. I'm sorry. K'tuba b'chezkat yoshei habal. Okay, it would seem, therefore, how do we define b'chezkatan? The ketubah remains in the status of the heirs of the husband. Okay. In other words, this is assuming that he's already died, and therefore there are heirs to him. Okay. Nechasim hanichnasim v'yotzim ima b'chezkat yoshei ha'av. And the usufruct therefore falls under the chazaka, the status of the heirs of, okay, her father.
Her father.
Right? So it could be her brothers, or it could be somebody else. Could be her uncle even, things like that. Okay? Kansa, if he took her into his house, right? What happens then? Hare hi ki ishto l'chol davar. Then she is like his wife for all purposes. Ubelvad shetehei k'tuba al michsei ba'ala harishon. But only based on the condition that the ketubah is dealing with the property of the first husband and not the property of the Yavam. Okay? Gemara. So the Gemara asks an interesting question. We see that there's a difference between the Reisha and the Seifa in our Mishnah regarding Beit Hillel and Beit Shammai. In the Reisha, Beit Hillel and Beit Shammai were in agreement. Okay, in the Seifa, there's a disagreement. Okay, so that's going to be our first question in the Gemara. My Shana, what's the difference, Reisha? The lo plige, umay Shana Seifa the plige. What's the difference between the two of them? Amar Ula, says Ula Reisha, the nafla kashehi arusa. In the earlier section, she was already engaged to the Yabam. Okay? V'seifa, the nafla kashehi nisua. And in the second case, the Seifa, she was already officially married to him. Okay? That's Ula's explanation. Ukasavar Ula. This seems to imply that Ula is of the opinion, Zikat Arusa, that the marriage bond between the Yabam and the widow in an engagement situation, Osesa fake Arusa, it only makes her a questionable Arusa. In other words, it's not a strong Zika.
No.
Okay, let's go over that. Zikat Nisua, but the marriage bond, once they are married, clearly, Osesa fake Nisua, he argues. Ula would think that is even a questionable marriage. Okay? Yes, he brought her in. Yes, he performed Yibum. Okay? But after the Yibum is done, what's her status? Let's think about it just for a quick minute. What's her status? Yibum is finished. She's what? She could be his wife, right? That's true. But exactly, Marty. He could then give her a get. Okay? He could take the attitude, I fulfilled the Torah requirement of Yibum. Okay? She's pregnant. that child will not really, so to speak, legitimately, totally be mine, I'll give her a get. Okay? So it could be that might be Ula's thinking. Okay? All right? Or, all right, we could take another attitude. He has to fulfill Yibum or do Yibum or Chalitza. If he's done Yibum, okay, he's fulfilled his obligation. Therefore, he could give her a get, and all right, he could keep her, or he could give her the get, and she could go marry somebody else. Okay, so she would then be available Lashuk. All right. So what happens? Zikat arusa asayk oses safek arusa. If this is Ula's view that the bond of arusa is only a loose, okay, is a questionable arusa. The isal gadatach, because you might have thought vadai arusa, when it's a very clear, fixed engagement. Modim Beit Hillel would agree. Shemocheret v'notenet v'kayam. That wouldn't they agree then that if it was a solid arusa, that she could sell or give the property and it would be valid, right? Vahatnan. But we're taught elsewhere in another Mishnah, naflula nichasim mishenit arsa. If there were property that was handed over, given to her,
fell to her,
yeah, while she was engaged, Beit Shammai omrim timkur. Shammai says she may sell it. Beit Hillel omrim lo timkur. But Beit Hillel says no, she cannot sell it. Right? So the Gemara says, Elu ve'elu modim, she'im machra v'natna. But both Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel in this Mishnah agree that if she did sell it or did give it away, kayam, she shouldn't. So there's a lachatchila there and a b'di'eved there in that situation. Lachatchila, they don't agree, but in this Mishnah, b'di'eved, they agree. Okay? Ela shmamin. So therefore, this would seem to teach us zikat arusa, oses safek arusa, that the bond when she is in an engagement is a questionable or doubtful bond. Okay, doubtful engagement. Zikat nisu'ah, the bond when she's married, oses safek nisu'ah. If you say that that's Ula's view, that it's a doubtful or questionable marriage, the isal gadatach, because why I might have thought as follows: vadai nisu'ah, okay, if she's clearly, validly married, Beit Shammai omrim yachaloku, yorshei habal im yorshei ha'av. Why then does Beit Shammai say that in that case, the property should be divided between the heirs of the husband, the heirs of the father? Vahatnan, because aren't we taught again elsewhere in another Mishnah the following? Naflula nechasim mishenisei. If property has been bequeathed or given to her, okay, once she's married, elu ve'elu modim, both Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel agree, she'im machra v'natna, that if she gave it, if she sold it or she gave it away, shehabal motzi miyad halikuchot, that the husband may take it from the purchasers. In other words, okay, it may have been, he has the usufruct. As a result, okay, she doesn't have the total control over that property on her own. Okay, it's shared control, and therefore he can challenge any sale or gift. Right? Elashmamina. So therefore, we must learn from this the following: according to Ula, zikat nisuah oses safek nisuah, that the bond of marriage is a questionable or doubtful bond in marriage. Now, that was what we said Ula explained. So we're going to see now, Rabba is going to respond, and Abaye is going to respond, among others. Amar le Rabba. So Rabba says was follows. Adamiflage begufa ula achar mita. What they're arguing about is herself, in other words, her status, and it's after the death. Lil lagu bechaye ula peirot. Right? Right, to the essence of
what happens to the stuff.
That's interesting. Okay, all right. To the property. All right. Let them argue. Instead, he suggests while she's about alive, and in regards to the usufruct, the extra products. Ella Amar Rabba says Rabba as follows: if both this and this fell to her when she was married, zikat nisu'ah, and therefore then the bond of marriage, oses safek nisu'ah, that would still make it a questionable or a doubtful marriage. Why? Reisha de ihi kaima. Okay. In the earlier part, the first part of the our Mishnah, okay, we see that it said it is valid. Havela ihi, okay, vadai. Okay, then in this case it would be valid. Ve'inhu safi. Okay, in his situation, okay, it would be questionable. Ve'ein safek motzi midei vadai. And we say, again, that a questionable claim cannot counteract a valid claim. Seifa the meta, but in our end, okay, of our Mishnah, where it said she had died, okay, the widow, Yavama, halalu ba'ein liyaresh, v'halalu ba'ein liyaresh, v'yachaloku. In these cases, these cannot inherit, and also these cannot inherit the entire amount, and so therefore they have to divide it up. Now, Ative Abaye challenges. And what is he going to say? Ula Beit Shammai ein safek motzi midei vadai. Do we really say that Beit Shammai holds that when there's a doubtful claim, it cannot remove property from a valid claim? Vahatnan. But haven't we learned elsewhere in a different Mishnah the following? Nafal habayat alav ve'al aviv. If the house fell in, both on him and his father, alav ve'al morishav, on him and on his heir, Vahayu alav ktubat isha ubal chov, and for this gentleman, okay, there is outstanding, let's call it liens or obligations. One is to the ketubah of his widow, and one is to a bal chov, to a creditor, right? Not only that, so what happens in this case, the Yoshei Ha'av, the heirs of the father, Omrim, they say, Haben meit rishon, okay? The son died first, V'achar kach meit ha'av, and afterwards the father died. So in other words, what property the deceased son had went initially to the father, and then all of those combined properties should go to them, to the Yorshim. Right? And what happens? Ubal chov omer, and the creditor claims, ha'av meit rishon, va'achar kach meit haben. No, the father, the older man there, died first, and then the son died. Beit Shammai omrim yachaloku. According to Beit Shammai, they should divide the property. Beit Hillel omrim nechasim b'cheskatam. And Beit Hillel says the property is retained in its earlier status. Okay, and just how we do. Okay, good. All right. So what happens? Vahahacha, but here in this case, Abaye continues to argue. Yoshei ha'av vadai, the heirs of the father. In other words, let's say if it was brothers of the deceased son, they have a valid claim. Ubal chov chesafek, and the creditor, his claim is questionable. V'ka'ate safek umotzimi de vadai. And here, since Beit Shammai said they had to split it, this seems to say that the questionable claim of the Baal Chov has equal validity to that of the family members. Okay? So how can you say that Beit Shammai does not say that a safek can tend to, I won't say nullify, but limit a valid claim? All right? So let's go on. Kasavre Beit Shammai. This seems to tell us that Beit Shammai is of the opinion, Shtar ha'omed legabot ki gabui dami, that Beit Shammai must be of the view that if we have a potential creditor claim written, that it's as if it has been claimed. It is as if it's been acknowledged, let's say, by the base. Okay.
Baal Chov is also a vadai.
Right. So then Baal Chov is, so he would also mean it's, in that case, if that's Beit Shammai's view, that could help us understand why he says split it, and also would understand why it would be vadai versus vadai. Okay? So the Gemara continues, Umina Temra. Okay. And based on what you're saying then, that's not. What about the following, that it's taught the following in a Mishnah? Meitu ba'alehem. Okay. Ad shelo shatu. This is an example of a woman that was in a sota situation. Okay?
And drink of soda water.
Right? And what happens? And their husband dies before the time that that's incumbent upon them to drink the drink. Right? Beit Shammai omrim not lot ketubatan. According to Beit Shammai, he says that those women, nevertheless, I'm sort of slipping in there, receive their ketubah. Okay? Ve'enan shotot, and they don't drink. Okay? Why? Because remember, sota here is a suffix situation. Okay? Ubeit Hillel omrim, and Beit Hillel says, O shotot, o lo not lot ketubatan. Okay, either they drink or they don't receive the ketubah. So the Gemara asks, O shotot, you're saying that they drink? Okay, but don't we have a pasuk that clearly spells out for us the following, Veheviet ha'ish et ishto, that he must bring, in other words, and we don't just mean bring the complaint, okay? He must literally be present, okay, in order to carry out the scenario of the sota, okay? Amar machmana, that's what the Torah says, veleka, and he's not available, certainly not if he's dead, okay? Ela mitoch shalosh shotot, lo not lot ketubatan, and therefore, since they don't drink, they don't receive their ketubah. Vahahacha, but here in this case, the safeku, we said it's a question, right? A doubt. Safek zanai, safek lo zanai. We're not sure if they were promiscuous, we're not sure if they were or not promiscuous. V'ka'ate safek umotzimi de vadai. And here again, according to Beit Shammai, it would appear that a questionable situation, okay, is able to challenge a vadai, a clear claim. Elashmamina. But again, we'll use the same argument. Shtar ha'omed legabot kigabui dami. It must be that Beit Shammai holds that a document, okay, that is ready as a claim to be collected is as if it's been collected already, right? Now, it could be the ksuba, right, in this case, of the sota, okay? But the implication is still the same, whether it's the ketubah or the Baal Chol, right? Okay. Ve'abaye. So how is Abaye going to deal with this situation? Lot ve'meha. Let him object. Okay. Dilma ketubat isha shani. Okay. In other words, the Baal Chol, let him object mela. Okay. Maybe there's a unique aspect of a ketubah, right? He says, mishum chena, namely because of the desire for women to be married or to be remarried. Okay, things like that. The rabbis were more lenient in that case. Velotve ketubah dematniten. So let them also object in regarding to the ketubah as described in our Mishnah. Lo plige, they don't argue. Lo, no, they don't. Vahakatani, but isn't it taught specifically in our Mishnah? Meta, the Yavama died. Ma ya'aseh b'ketubata b'nechsim hanichnasim v'yotzim ima. What is to be done then with her ketubah and any other usufruct that may come to her at the time? Beit Shammai Omrim, have a good safe trip, Marty. Beit Shammai Omrim Yachloku, Yoshei Habal im Yoshei Ha'av. Beit Shammai says they should divide it between the heirs of the husband and the heirs of the father. Beit Hillel Omrim Nechasim B'cheskatan. And Beit Hillel says the property remains in the status of the previous owners. Hachi ka'amar. This is what he means to say. Meta, when the Yavama died, ma ya'aseh b'ketubata, what should be done with her ketubah? Vishavka. And that's the end of that one question. That's one issue. Second issue. That's a separate issue. Okay, what about the usufruct? What about all of that? Beit Shammai Omrim Yachaloku. Beit Shammai says in that situation, you divide it up. Yoshei Habal im Yoshei Ha'av. The heirs of the husband and the heirs of the son, of the father, I'm sorry. Beit Hillel Omrim Nechasim B'cheskatan. And it's Beit Hillel who said the property remains in its status. Okay? Have a good, safe trip, Marty. Enjoy. They what?
Yeah.
Have a good Yom Tov.
Okay.
Get on the phone.
They canceled about a South flight.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
right, flight.
United?
That's right, flights too.
Amar Rav Ashi. Right? Says Rav Ashi as we'll finish up. Oh, I got to follow up because our kids are supposed to, I think, tomorrow. Amar Rav Ashi, matnitin nami daika. Our Mishnah also is exact regarding its language, the katani, because it teaches yachaloku yoshei habal im yoshei ha'av, that the heirs of the husband with the heirs of the father. Velo katani, but it doesn't teach yoshei ha'av im yoshei habal. It doesn't teach the heirs of the father and the heirs of the husband. Shmamina. That's what we learn from that. What happens? Abaye Amar, he says, Reisha de naflula kashahi shomeret. It must be then, says Abaye, that the beginning of our Mishnah was when she was still waiting for the Yavam to act. Seifa de naflula kashahi tachtav de Baal. And the end of our Mishnah must be when those properties came to her when she was already involved with the husband, right? Because Savar Abaye Yado Biyada. And Rav Abaye must be of the opinion that therefore he has some degree of control in terms of the property. And that's why it's phrased that way. And we'll stop there. Okay.
Hakol Shabbat Shabbat for everybody.
You too. Have a good, safe trip.
Am I green? Rabbi
Yes.
Green?
Yes.
What's the schedule for tomorrow?
Tomorrow,
we
will do the daf. It says in the bulletin after the first seal.
After the first seal.
Right. So I don't know exactly what time that's going to be. The rabbi is going to do the seal after the 7:30 minute. Okay. So I don't know how long it's going to take. But I should maybe 10, 15 minutes at the most. And then there's going to be a later siyum, but we're going to do the daf after the first siyum.
Okay. All right. So then I can try the schedule so I know.
Right. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because I'm still not going out, but I'm feeling much better. I mean.
Good. Very good. All right. Take care.
All right.
How long the first thing is going to take? About a half hour?
No, not necessarily.
No.
You know, the rabbi may just simply do the end of whatever he does. And then from there, go on. Okay? Do the, so I'm trying to think how long it used to take me. Like I say, 10, 15 minutes, as Abrami is saying, is not a bad guesstimate. Okay. Of course, I used to sell chametz. I think today is the last day Rabbi Yasker is accepting chametz sale. What?